The trade deadline is over. And if you were in my live stream, you know how I feel. You know how I felt about the defensive line. I've been feeling that way for quite a while. And you and I are going to have one of my favorite videos that we can have. It's like a therapy session where you and I just talk. I want to bring in something. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Poole. First of all, everybody that was in the live stream, it's all love. It's all fun. We're fans. We get passionate. And yeah, that's what I'll say about that. So as you know, you guys, I was very high on a defensive end. I've been high on a defensive end since I've been on this platform. I feel like that they are game changers. And we got one in Hutch who has been MIA for a while, but I'm going to put most of that on the fact that he's been double and triple team. And as Lions fans, we have to do something that is tough for us to do, and it's called trust the process. And it annoys me when fans say that we have to do it. See, being a Lions fan for however long you've been one, there's something that we don't have. Trust has to be earned. It has to be earned. And can you say that Brad Holmes have earned a certain amount of trust in 2.5 years? Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you also question some of the decisions that he's made? Yes, you can. Broderick Martin, some guys that he's brought on his team. And I don't want to harp on Broderick, but Trinity Benson trade, there have been some questionable decisions. And every GM has them. We've seen worse. And Brad Holmes has done great by this organization. And I think it's hard to ask a fan to be patient, right? Especially when you see glaring needs on the team. And I would hate to be one of these guys. I think if you think it's bad on YouTube being a YouTuber and a sports personality and seeing the comment section, I can only imagine what him and Dan Campbell are going through. I focused on Chase Young as a person that could be on this team. He would be a defensive help to Hutch, right? And the main reason, it wasn't like, oh my God, I want to have Chase Young. I mean, when he came out of college and we took Jeff Okudah, I wanted him on the team. But it was more of a, in the price range he fit of people that may be available at the trade deadline. Danielle Hunter was, I felt like if the Minnesota Vikings were going to separate from him, he was going to be out of our price range, right? So that's why I was Chase Young. It wasn't like I was infatuated with Chase or anything like that. I'm just like, get the brother some help, because I personally don't believe that Aiden has much help on the edge. And it reflects itself in good quarterbacks. And when you play bad quarterbacks, you can see it there. And we are basement GMs, armchair GMs, all these things. And I think that there are valid points to what we talk about. Okay. But at the end of the day, we support the team. We don't make the decisions. Am I disappointed? Yes, I am, because I don't think anything's going to change. I don't think James Houston is going to change this team. So I am disappointed. But with that being said, it did not have to be Chase Young. It could have been any number of edge rushers. Okay. When I say a shop at the dollar store, I don't think Chase Young was not the dollar. He wasn't the dollar store. He wasn't Five Below. He also wasn't cream of the crop. He was right in like the middle, a little above, in between, like not cream of the crop. You get what I'm trying to say. He's not the top of the food chain. He would have been a help. It was never going to be a 1-year rental. I don't know how true this is, so take this with a grain of salt. But again, we know the team one way. Brad and Dan know the other way, right? And when we win a Super Bowl, this stuff will be forgotten. But I think that as fans, all sides of the argument are okay. If you don't like the moves, fine. If you love the moves, fine. If you trust Brad Holmes, undoubtedly, fine. If you don't trust him, fine, right? This is what being a fan is about. It's about emotional, immediate reaction. It's about sitting on it and letting it marinate. It's about trusting the process, even when you don't have a large sample size. And Brad Holmes has done great. As I said before, he's missed as well. But in the time that he's been here, he has earned a certain level of trust. Even so, there are still things that need to be fixed on this team. Those are undeniable. The Lions had an opportunity to do something this year. You don't get these opportunities often. This year, next year, we're going to have a much harder schedule. We could also have a much better team. We could have pieces that we can put together. And I will say this, that there is no end of the road for Brad Holmes. I still believe Brad and Dan are the guys that's going to take us there. It might be bumpy. We might go detours, but I think they take us there. Am I going to like every move they make? No, I'm not. I'm going to hate some. I'm going to love some. Some are going to work out. Some are not, right? But I do think these guys are going to take us there. Why am I talking about this? Because the guy that I promoted, the guy that I wanted for various reasons that I think would help, according to, I'm about to bring something in. Like I said, I don't know how true this is. And if it's true, that's fine. I don't care. I don't care if it's true. If it is, that's fantastic. But if it's not, whatever, right? I just want my team to be better. But Dan Campbell said something, I think it was Friday, as the trade deadline was approaching. He says, we're not going to mess with the vibe of this team. Now, before I go there, somebody called in on the show and they said, they asked like trusting Brad Holmes. And I said, it's tough to trust because there's a disconnect. Like we see some things work out. We don't see others, but they have to be so secretive. We can only go by what we see, right? And what we see, the Lions are 6-2, first in the division. The rebuild is over, right? We're not year 3 of a rebuild. The team is heading in the right direction. But moves still have to be made. And maybe they come in free agency. Maybe they come in the draft. Brad Holmes will have the most money he's had. We'll have a pretty decent draft capital. And he's fleeced some stuff. He's finessed 5 picks into 7. So he's earned a certain level of trust. But there's more that needs to be seen. And I think fans, this is how we are, right? We want certain things don't work out. But this is coming from Lions Fan Report. And I don't know, again, where this came from, how true this is, and who wrote this, but I thought it would be interesting to bring in. Says Young, according to several Commanders coaches and other organizational sources, was viewed as an undisciplined player who developed bad habits such as deviating from assignments in an effort to make splash plays. His off-the-field priorities and commitment to his craft were often questioned, and he was viewed internally as a player who plateaued as a rookie. Now, again, take it with a grain of salt. He plateaued as a rookie, right? He had 7.5 sacks. He had 4 forced fumbles, 3 recoveries, and an interception. He's doing pretty good this year. But I think it's the first part. It's the first part that stands out. Says undisciplined player who developed bad habits such as deviating from assignments in an effort to make splash plays. Dan Campbell said, one of the things when we lose games, it's because a player is deviating from their assignment, right? They're deviating from their assignment. They're not doing the job they're supposed to do. If you're supposed to do this thing, do this thing, trust in your guy to make this play, right? There's a little bit of this, I believe. I'm not going to say it's not true because the same type of stuff was said about Kayvon Thibodeau. And Kayvon Thibodeau, I knew we weren't going to take him. He just didn't fit. Some guys don't fit. Maybe Chase Young didn't fit. Somebody had to fit. Derek Burnett, somebody had to fit. And maybe nobody did. It's quite possible. What I will say is this. I would hate to be them. I would hate to have their job because you have millions of fans, everybody eyeballing you, and basement GMs like myself. But at the end of the day, you have an obligation. And you're also on a timer, right? Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have an opportunity this year that they've never had when they brought back the same guys. In 2022, I was like, what are we doing? And then I understood. So it wasn't necessarily Chase Young financially he fit, his production fit, but maybe he wasn't the player. Fine, cool. I can deal with that. I picked him from what I had to work with. They had internal information that they had to work with. And it's hard to believe that there's nobody out there that we couldn't have got, right? But I will say this, as this video is going on way too long, but these are my favorite. My favorite videos where you and I are just having a conversation. Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, $65 million, $70 million. They're going to have cap space. They got to sign Jared Goff. They got to sign St. Brown. A lot of the players we see, Josh Reynolds could come back. A lot of players could come back, right? The draft. There now is a time that you have to prioritize the defensive line. Got to do it. We might need a guard and all, but between free agency, the amount of money we have, the way that Brad Holmes flips his picks, this is the year. So maybe I hear it wasn't our year, that next year, and that's fine. That's fine. But why not go as far as we can this year, right? I don't think we have that team. But again, I'm not the general manager. I'm not the coach. I'm just a guy sitting in his basement talking about his favorite team. And I see things that we need, but I don't know the inner details. I don't know the whispers and that's shared between organizations. I go by the eye test. And the eye test is if the quarterback is any good, we can't touch him, right? How far will that take this team? We'll see. We shall see. Trust is something that has to be earned, and I think Brad and Dan have earned a certain level of it. Very high. It's very, very high. Like I said, just a few misses. Levi, Trinity Benson, a couple misses, man. A couple misses. As of this moment, every draft pick he's ever drafted is on the team. Certain level, how they're panning out, that is being determined. So again, wasn't necessarily Chase Young. It just was something needs to be done. Something needed to be done. It wasn't, and we have to live with that. Maybe there's somebody that'll be cut by another organization that we can pick up. Maybe that guy will fit. Maybe he will fit. Maybe this is the 2004 Detroit Pistons. And undervalued, underestimated, underappreciated, and underdogs, we go all the way. It could happen. But again, I would rather look like Boo Boo the Fool in front of you guys and we win than be the smartest man in the room and we keep losing. So that's my thoughts. Heart to heart. Didn't happen. Hopefully we have what we need. If we don't, hopefully somebody comes available. Maybe a Snacks Harrison type player gets cut or something. And if none of that happens, maybe we have the team that goes all the way. Either way it goes, we all want the same thing and we ain't going nowhere. Whether we upset or whatever the situation, man, we are going to be here. So yeah, now it's on. Enjoying the bye week, 6-2, second in the conference, first in the division. I mean, it's not all bad, right? Somewhere we haven't been in a long time. So now we just got to see what we got. I know this was a long video. Should have been maybe it was like a testimonial, man. Like I needed to talk about it. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.